Welcome to the Love, Sex and Freedom podcast. This is where you're going to discover how to bring awakening into the body and into everyday life through powerful tantric teachings. Get ready to release, open and step into your true power. And let's bring our hands to our heart and set an intention for the remainder of the day and the remainder of the week to stay very attuned to our bodies, to listen to our bodies. There's nothing that you ever have to do that your body is a no to, so just allowing a relaxation in the exhale. Breathe in. You just get to be yourself. So just feeling this intention in the heart to fully be yourself this afternoon, to allow the softness and vulnerability in each moment of what's here now. And the invitation is to contemplate how much pleasure do you allow yourself to receive in your life and in the bedroom. What's your pleasure tolerance? There's often a lot of talk about pain tolerance, but what's your pleasure tolerance? When you eat, do you actually taste the food and receive it and let it in and feel how good that feels? When you step outside, do you receive the sensations of the air on your skin, the beauty around you, the earth beneath your feet, the breath in the body? So right now, breathing and feeling how the vibration of the breath connects you to your body and good feelings in this moment. The mind takes us away from pleasure. The breath invites pleasure. How much pleasure do you allow? So, opening the eyes when you're ready. Welcome back. So, a lot of people come to me and they say, I want to experience more pleasure in the bedroom, or I want to give my partner more pleasure in the bedroom. And they're waiting for some golden techniques or some wise advice from the tantrika that's going to make them a master lover. And my answer is always that how much pleasure you feel in the bedroom is about everything that happens outside of the bedroom. Because if you're not feeling and inviting pleasure into your life, you're not going to suddenly be able to switch it on when things start getting down with it. And you're going to wonder, why am I so in my head? And why can't I just relax and be here? And in my experience, the people who have the most pleasure available to them are the people who have the most pleasure available to them in life in general. And the people who are very stuck in the bedroom are often very stuck in life. And foreplay, especially for a woman or for the feminine in all of us, starts well before the bedroom. The opening of the feminine heart in both men and women happens holding hands and walking to the beach and along the beach. Happens when you're dancing with yourself or with a partner or with friends. Happens when you're in nature and enjoying nature. And, a lot of couples will say to me, we don't have the energy to make love. and we've got kids or work or this or that. And thankfully, I have children, so I can speak from a place of experience and with absolute certainty that, and I work very hard and I've always run my own businesses, say that actually you will always find time for that which you prioritize, and that which you prioritize and highly value is going to come naturally to you. So when I had Sadell and Jaleb, I was making love 2 days later. And we were making love at least twice a week, which I could have made love a lot more than that. But that was where we were at. And it was a natural experience of closeness that was experienced between us that then deepened in the bedroom. And all of my partnerships, despite whatever is going on, there's always time for lovemaking, frequent lovemaking. And the thing that you need to understand if your life's going to change and be more geared towards pleasure is that human beings are wired for bliss. And when we're not connecting to the bliss that is our birthright, we are going to feel unfulfilled and unsatisfied no matter how much money we're making, no matter what we're achieving, because that pleasure and that joy is the highest expression of our human incarnation. And that's not to say that monks don't experience bliss, but they're experiencing it in a different way. Right? They're going into that oneness state. So that's kind of the exception. But when we're just living in the world, if we're not making love, if we're not experiencing pleasurable activities and prioritizing joy, there will undoubtedly be a sense of unfulfillment. And actually, I want to emphasize again that pleasure is the best nervous system regulator. Who's noticed that you could be having the shittest day, and then if someone just gets you laughing, it just can dissolve it? Or, you go and jump in the ocean or go for a bike ride or a horse ride. I remember when, as a little girl, no matter what kind of day I had, as soon as I would reconnect with Dusty, my horse, and cuddle him and go for a ride and be in nature, everything would just disappear. So there is a place of sitting with pain and being with pain, and there's a place of over-processing and overly being with that. We always want to balance the beingness of going within and feeling what's there and being real with the pain that's there, with going in and feeling where the pleasure points are and what's going to bring us joy, which takes me back to one of the definitions I gave you of Tantra from Margot Anand, another one of my teachers, who says that Tantra is following with awareness what brings you joy. And there is no chance in hell that if a woman is not in her openness and experiencing connection with her partner and connection with life outside of the bedroom, that she's going to be able to feel turned on easily. Like for a man, it's a little bit different, and it depends how much his feminine's activated. Like the men that I'm with tend to be quite in touch with their feminine, and there's no way they can make love without a strong heart connection and without feeling that and feeling that it's been there outside of the bedroom. But if you just take masculine energy on its own without feminine, and men who are very polarized in their masculine, you go to the cock, which is the positive pole, stimulate it, and they're ready to go, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just biology. So this is a man's positive pole, his cock, and it needs to be loved and it needs to be honored. And there's been so much shaming of men's sexuality and a stripping away of their power. And actually this penetrative energy of the hunter, this penetrative energy of the gatherer is responsible for life continuing, and the urge to penetrate is strong. And one of the most common things that women tolerate and get resentful for and angry about is how quickly men go towards our yoni and our breasts without touching the rest of the body, and how fast they pump their energy into us way too quickly. What women can relate to that. And what I find is that a lot of women are either tolerating that and then bitching about it behind men's back, or shaming the man at the time and going, that was too fast, and contracting and repelling and closing themselves down. And really what we need is compassion and understanding for the difference in wiring. Because even I've been with tantric teachers, tantric masters, they all do it too. And I have to remind them, I'm like, can you please slow down? Can you please just bring some more touch to my body first? And the body, the warming up of a woman's body is generally about 20 minutes. And for my body, it's always been about 40. Matisse is an exception because there's so much quality time and there's so much presence and affection and love leading up to the bedroom that I feel like I'm already pretty warmed up, and it's surprising how quickly my body opens. So the quality of presence and time together and connection and vulnerability can alter that time, yeah? But generally speaking, it's a minimum of 20 minutes that a woman needs before her yoni will be authentically open to receiving a man. And I have done sessions with women for the last 15 years. I have sat with hundreds of women, and there's a session that I do where, after I support them to come into their bodies, I support them to place their hands on their yoni after we've had some womb connection, and let the yoni speak. And, ask the yoni, what do you need? What do you want? And I'm telling you now, there is not one woman that doesn't say, I need things to be slower. I want you to say pause. I don't feel ready. Right? Are there any women in here who have not tolerated touch at some point or penetration way before they're ready? Not one woman. Because what happens is we often just want to please the man. We don't want to emasculate him. And we don't want to feel rejected. So we just kind of put up with it, right? That's going to change today. And I'm going to have some time with the women to support that deeper. And Matisse is going to have some time with the men. And often there's this place in women that can only set boundaries from a very hard place. And my invitation to all of you is to understand how differently men are wired, and to lovingly and compassionately and in a relaxed and open way. It's not like they're trying to hurt us or trying to do things too quickly. Just say, hey, could you please slow down? And if he has a reaction, or if, there's a bit of failure that comes up, have patience with that. It's kind of like, the experience of the feminine, and men experience this too, but women definitely experience it more, when you feel something and you can't help it. And even though you know all the communication tools, you can't just help going and letting it out, no matter how many times you promise yourself, I'm not going to do that again. What women can relate? Right, so there's this incapacity in women at times because we're biologically wired to feel our children, to feel our motherly instincts, to protect, our emotional bodies are 10 times bigger than a man's body, right? So in the same way that it's difficult for us not to communicate, not to speak, not to show how we feel when we maybe know it's not the right timing, or we're not ready to say it in the right way, or whatever it is, in the same way that that's difficult to breathe the energy up, pause, breathe, slow it all down, that's how hard it is for him not to just go fast, right? So for men, the key is to sublimate your sexual energy, to, when you're wanting to go fast, to feel her more than you feel yourself sometimes, to tune in, feel where she's at, breathe the energy up, and bring some heart into it and connect with her, because it's easy for a man to localize and just get centered here. And what helps with that is sound. What helps with that is breathing and connecting to the heart and to consciousness. Yeah? So there's a hollow flute practice that you can do, men, where you imagine that hollow flute that Matisse spoke into this morning, and you imagine sipping through a straw, and you trace the line of energy in your body, and you activate your root lock, bring it up to the third eye, let's all just try that. Imagine you're breathing through a straw. You're breathing energy up from the root, from the sacral, all the way up and into the heart, into the throat, into the third eye, and then down the front of the body. So opening the eyes when you've finished that round. Unfortunately, I could spend a whole week on Sacral Chakra Day, but I know how much we need to get done. This is a practice you can do with yourself. I also have an online course, Sacred Sexuality, that you'll all have 50% off at the end of this. If you're wanting to know more about continence practices, sublimation practices, you can get Sacred Sexuality in any woman or man who feels that there's a deepening into that. There's also a great book by Mantak Chia called The Multi-Orgasmic Man that teaches men how to sublimate energy so that you can become multi-orgasmic at an energetic level, and there's not always that need to ejaculate, which I'm not going to go into too much now, but basically when you ejaculate, you're expelling your life force energy, and depending what age you are, that can be quite a lot of life force energy. Like Mantak Chia says that a man in his 20s should only ejaculate about once a week, 30s twice a month, 40s once a month, 50s once every couple of months. Because as the aging process continues, you need that vital life force energy more and more. And that vitality, if you look at tantric masters, including Mantak Chia, it's like I know men who are 60 and they look 40 or 30 and they're still going and they can make love for hours and hours, right? Because they're not expelling their seed. If you think about it, that sperm creates a whole life. So that's a serious amount of life force energy, right? So if you can learn to pull that up and spread it through your whole body, your health and your vitality is going to increase a significant amount. There's another book by David Data called Connecting to God Through Sex that I highly recommend, and Intimate Communion. So if this is a man's positive pole, where is a woman's positive pole? Her heart, right? And there's this beautiful thing that can happen where men, you're actually receiving when you're making love and when you're with a woman. You're receiving her heart into your heart. And we're going to do a practice. So what we were doing earlier, the ooh, ah, e, and bringing it back down, and even that hollow flute practice is referred to as the microcosmic orbit. It's the micro, the small, the one. Here we are. And then the macrocosmic orbit, when we go into the macrocosm, is when you're circulating that with another. So ladies, when you're with a man, breathing his energy up through your pussy and feeling it rise, because a lot of women, especially women who are more masculine, they localize their energy as well. Or if we're just like give up with the man we're with, we're like, all right, I'm not going to be connected to the heart, so I might as well just go for the localized experience, right? So if you're actually receiving him and you're breathing that energy into your heart and feeling it coming up and then lighting up your nipples and imagining that love is pouring from you and into him, so that there's this circulation of energy happening. And there's this meditative awareness, right? And that yum position, which is the iconic tantric position that Matisse and I were in before, is the easiest place to experience this. So you're going to have a chance to experience it. And anyone who's freaking out about any of the sacred sexuality practices, you're going to be in your total autonomy not to engage in anything that doesn't feel right for you. So we have this immense capacity as humans to feel bliss and to feel pleasure. And when you're connected to your whole body, when you're welcoming pleasure in, when you're connected to your senses in and out of the bedroom, your capacity for pleasure is so much higher. And something that can happen for women in particular in the bedroom is that when they start making love more tantrically and actually feeling the presence of a man, there may be tears, right? There may be some growls, and that's okay, because orgasmic energy is a healing modality. And as that orgasmic energy is hitting, it actually pushes out stuck energy from trauma. Now, if the woman is crying and having a hard time and contracting against it, you need to stop because she's not surrendered. But if the woman can surrender into that, like I was crying before when Matisse and I were circulating energy, and he doesn't stop. He just holds presence and attunes to me and feels me, and then it's like the lovemaking is washing away whatever's there, yeah? And sometimes I don't even know what it is. You don't need to know what it is. It's a surrender process, and the polarity between the masculine and the feminine is that the masculine is holding presence and the woman is becoming surrender. You're not surrendering to him. You're becoming surrender. You're surrendering to the sensations in your body. You're surrendering to the universe. You're surrendering to energy. You're surrendering to whatever's here. And the more that a man can just hold presence and a woman can hold that surrender, the more that a man is staying connected to her and circulating energy, the more you're both making sound and staying connected to that, then the greater the possibility is of lovemaking looking completely different every time you step into it, and being an experience that is no longer this mentalized experience of I touch her here to get her wet so that I can put my cock into her, and I do this and this to please him, and that kind of more pornographic style of lovemaking that's based on getting to a goal. All right, so everyone take a deep breath. So this goal orientation, it's also very difficult if what you're spending a lot of your life in the doing and the achieving and the getting somewhere to the end point, to then come into lovemaking and it be this open spaciousness of whatever you're feeling. So how we do anything is how we do everything. So if you spend a lot of your life in bypass and dissociation, you're going to do that in the bedroom. If you spend a lot of your life goal-oriented and always achieving, then when you get to the bedroom, unless you've been exposed to teachings and you're smart and you go into what you know you need to do, what's going to be most natural is to go for the goal. And then what happens is women are performing, men have all this pressure, and if he can't get it up, she's taking it personally and he feels like he's not fulfilling his role as a man. If she can't get wet, she feels like she's not doing the right thing. And there's all of this stuff that doesn't need to be there. And what I invite you to do, that if you're not getting wet, keep feeling your body, be patient, and trust your body's wisdom. And for a man, if you're not getting hard, the same thing. And actually, you can love a man when he's not hard. You can still be connecting energetically and being there with him in that. And same with the opposite, when a woman isn't fully aroused and ready. So there's an opportunity to engage together where you're touching, you're feeling, you're attuning, you're being with each other moment to moment and being more in the naturalness. And part of it is expanding your definition of lovemaking beyond penetration. You can be making love when you're holding hands. You can be making love when you're dancing. You can be making love when you're eating together, where there's presence. You can be making love when you're just holding each other at night. And I definitely couldn't be with someone who was only making love to me when they were inside me. And it doesn't feel safe for me. And my highest preference is that even when we're not engaging in penetrative sex at night or in the morning, that lovemaking is still happening. There's still connection. There's still that love being shared. But there's this narrow vision of what sex is based on our conditioning. Thanks for listening to the Love, Sex and Freedom podcast. For more great free resources, in-person and online workshops, and our retreats, find us on Instagram and Facebook at Embodied Awakening Academy or visit embodiedawakeningacademy.com.